Whoop, whoop. We finally made it.
Is it working now? No, it's still slow for me.
Sick and tired of two-party bullshit? We are too. Welcome to Loudmouth Radio with Phil Dee and Dee Biznatch.
Overrated.
Completely overrated.
That intro is way too cool for us, dude.
Well, it sounds fairly pro, you know.
I had someone else do it. The only way anything sounds professional. Are you drinking too?
Schweppes.
Oh. Well, I got
Red
you.
Well, I'll be, as soon as we get done with this, I'll be going to the liquor store and getting a bottle of vodka because I was supposed to go to the gym and my gym partner's, one of my gym partners is having chest pains, so she has to go to the doctor.
Dude, she blasted her pecs too hard.
No, these are inside chest pains. They're not.
That's very shit.
It's not muscular chest pains. It's, go to the doctor and find out what the hell's going on wrong with you.
So you're gonna drink instead of go to the gym?
Yeah. I figured that's probably the proper thing to do. I'm gonna probably drink. I might drive my lawnmower around my yard.
Only in your yard. If you leave your yard, you can get a ticket.
I did, believe me. My driveway is really long. My driveway is like too long to take my my lawnmower anywhere on it. I'm like a mile into the woods from the main road.
Don't you have a guy to mow your lawn for you?
No. Why would I have a $5,000 lawnmower is what I have.
Oh.
I have a killer 0-turn lawnmower. I'm not going to pay someone else to do that. Hey, on the thing, it says off air on my.
Mine says live.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
is there anyone out there listening?
You should ask if people can hear us.
Yeah, because I'm doing this on my phone, so I can't actually go on Twitter and see unless I put this whole shindig on pause.
Don't pause me, bro. Don't pause me.
I don't want to pause you guys.
All right, I'm going to ask if it's working, and someone will tell me. Is this thing on?
Is there anyone out there? I'd use my iPad, but my internet sucks here. So.
Yeah, you're in BFE.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where to start? There's a lot of ground to cover because there's so much idiocy everywhere.
Well, I know that you're chomping at the bit to start with Walker because it's near and dear to your heart. I don't think Walker is really all that big of a subject as much as, right. Your perspective is, it's clear and present to you, has been clear and present to you for a long time. I think that Walker is kind of a non-issue in the Republican Party. I think that most people see that he is an empty shell when it comes to actually trying to run for the presidency. Obviously the Canadian border wall is probably one of my favorite things that I've heard, actually.
Dude, it was just over your head, man. You didn't understand it.
The problem with that is it shows how unprepared to be a leader Walker is. You know what I mean? That's shows that.
Because his defenders will say, oh, he was asked that question at a town meeting, so he just wants to seem like he is listening to voters. And I'm like, no, part of being ready for that office is to be like, I understand your concern. Here's why your concern isn't applicable right now where we're at, because all he had to say was fiscal conservative, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but voters aren't the ones that brought that question to him. It was a member of the press, and so
right,
it was
the press.
Now,
right.
I think he's a knucklehead. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that I'm a Walker supporter, but it was totally a gotcha question aimed at doing exactly what happened. They got exactly out of it what they wanted. They wanted him to make a dumb remark.
Yeah.
To prove that what honestly I believe, and I agree, he is unfit to be the president. I believe that. But the point of it was make him look like an ass. That was the whole point.
I completely agree with that. I mean, he makes it really easy. He doesn't answer questions, and that's the other thing. The press has been pissed because he won't answer how he feels about birthright citizenship. So they're pissy with him anyway. So yeah, it's the gotcha questions, which if you're fucking running for president, learn to answer gotcha questions.
You need to be ready for it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I mean, that being said, Walker is a knucklehead. He's not in any way fit to be the president. He's in no way, in my opinion, a leader, at least someone that should be leading the country. Maybe, I mean, I don't know, I know you're going to, if I even bring up anything about his record in Wisconsin, I will get a litany of things I'm pissed off about. I understand. But on a national scale, he's just a non-issue, honestly. He's a complete non-issue.
Thankfully, I'm so glad he's a non-issue now. I've been waiting for this. I've been telling you forever that he's an idiot, and no one would believe.
And I've never defended him. I've only said, look, I don't know much about him. To be fair, I was never like, no,
Right.
So he's a knucklehead.
So we're moving on to Trump, and I'm alarmed because my news feed seems. Yes, of course.
You realize this is going to take up the rest of the time.
My fucking news feed is becoming filled with people that actually support him.
Yeah. How does that make you feel?
Terrified.
Yeah.
But
you know what? I tell you, this is probably something that'll get people all worked up. But in my opinion, Donald Trump is absolute proof positive of why we should not have total enfranchisement when it comes to voting.
That'll upset somebody.
Oh
yeah, dude.
Let everyone vote. You end up with when you let everyone vote, you end up with Donald Trump and Barack Obama.
Oh, well, who was it? It was years ago. RNC conservative guy. Name is escaping me now. But his big thing was, the less people that vote, the better that the Republican Party does. So his whole thing was, we do better the less people that vote. And
that's not a Republican or a Democrat thing. It depends on how it's not better for Republicans to have less people voting. It's better.
Yes, it is. Because the more people that show up, when it's a bigger general population showing up to vote, Democrats historically do better. Just saying.
Well, I haven't looked at any kind of numbers on this or not, but total enfranchisement means that you're getting the whole slew of who could possibly vote, and that means that you're going to get literally half of the people that are voting are dumber than average.
That's sad.
I know. That's the way math works. People can get pissed off that I'm saying this. But the way math works is once you get over 50%, then you're over 50%. So like half of the people, which is where 50% is, are dumber than the average person that's voting.
What's that Joe Rogan quote, right? Where he says, I know I'm stupid, but I'm smarter than almost every person I meet.
But it's true, but and Donald Trump is Donald Trump is showing that people don't vote by thinking, they vote, by emotion. And I stand behind my statement. I think that the reason that people voted for Barack Obama was because they were voting from a point of emotion. Because when Barack Obama was running the first time, his platform was literally devoid of any kind of content. What everyone heard was hope and change, and they took that and they made it something that they hoped for and change that they wanted. But that doesn't mean that's what he was saying. It was an abstract that people were voting for. They were saying, I like the idea of hope and change. I'm not happy with the way things are now. So I want things to change and be different than they are. But it could be 180 degrees from what the guy next to him was thinking hope and change. You know what I mean? It was voting on emotion.
Wasn't Sarah Palin a factor too, though? Like, who the hell wanted to vote for Sarah Palin?
Last I checked, Sarah Palin was never actually the nominee for to be the president of the United States. So
dude,
I don't know what Sarah Palin has to do with this.
It was McCain, Palin, and Obama, and
nobody votes. Nobody votes for the vice president. No one votes for the vice president. No one votes for someone because of their vice president. The vice president is historically the least powerful job in the fucking government.
But you can't, okay, but here's the thing. With McCain being old, I think the Palin factor was a thing. But go ahead. It's totally regardless. Go ahead with what you're saying about Trump being devoid of points and just being a big mouth.
Well, no, Trump is not devoid of points. Trump just makes bad points. Barack Obama was devoid of points. Barack Obama had no platform. Trump runs on a nationalist, a nationalist fucking stupid agenda. He's hilarious. And don't take this the wrong way, because I'm not saying that I wouldn't vote for him. Because if it's Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, I will vote for Donald Trump, and I will send a message to Washington saying, deal with this asshole. You're going to fucking give me the option of shitbag 1 and shitbag 2. I'm sending you moron. Now deal with this.
I'm not dealing with either shitbag. If my choices are Trump and Clinton, I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm writing it.
Right in red.
No, I would never. Stop it.
Why not? Because he likes freedom too much, and you're an authoritarian?
Yeah, because I hate freedom. It's so bad. No, it's and because I'd probably write in Bernie. I'd write in Bernie before I do anything.
You hate freedom because you believe that people should be penalized for making too much money, and you don't like people that have 401ks that they're living off of, people on fixed incomes that live on 401ks when if you go ahead and raise the tax rates on investments, you know who you're going to hurt? You're not hurting millionaires because they make plenty of money. You hurt grandma who's on a fixed income and makes her money.
I hate old people. Fuck them.
Well,
no,
I kind of back that too, but.
And here's the thing, though. I like with Bernie, because Bernie's an independent. He caucuses with the Dems. I get it. And my whole train of thought is, if we can get an independent in there now, and then midterms stuff the House and the Senate with fucking more independents, maybe we can get rid of this fucking two-party problem we have.
I don't know.
Freedom. Fuck you. Bernie Sanders voted against the Patriot Act. He was one of the few that voted against it.
Good. So then he has one thing to his credit.
Kind of
and,
freedom.
What?
Kind of freedom.
Kind of freedom, yeah. I just don't like confiscatory tax policy. It's not there are not enough billionaires and millionaires that you could tax highly enough to make the people that are saying you should tax millionaires and billionaires feel a significant difference in their income because you taxed millionaires and billionaires. There just aren't enough. The numbers don't work out that way. Like, you're not going to be able to fix the deficit or fix unfunded liabilities or fix you're not going to fix the income gap, whatever people want to call it, by taxing millionaires and billionaires more. There isn't enough of them, and they don't make enough money to spread it around where everyone's going to feel something. Going and having a tax policy.
We totally disagree on this. Like, if you take, the top half of the top 1% and tax them what they were getting taxed pre-Reagan, whatever, we'll have plenty of fucking money. But like, my whole thing with Bernie Sanders is
no, hold on, I have to challenge that point, because if you take the top half of 1% and tax them at whatever they were taxed pre-Reagan, it would not fix one of our problems financially. It wouldn't even be $1 trillion that you would tax them at. You would not create $1 trillion in tax revenue by taxing the top half of 1%. Now,
what if I make them into lamps? Sell those lamps.
Well, see, now you're talking about murder, so that's a different subject. But they don't make enough money to do that. There isn't enough money collected in that top 1%, where if you had, say you had a 90% tax rate, like Bernie Sanders is saying, of the top 1%, it's not enough to make an impact on our unfunded liabilities, which are somewhere around 75 to 80 trillion or something like that. I've heard numbers as high as 100 trillion. But you're talking about trillion, like $100 trillion, or $75 trillion for the low number. There's no way that taxing the super rich for an extended period of time will ever cover that gap. Period.
Okay,
It's just
what you're saying. I've heard, you know, a similar stance before, and it's a fine argument. I get that it's not all the money that we need, but here's my problem with this argument. The people that always make that argument, like, even if you tax them, you're not going to have enough money, are the same people that advocate for cutting food stamps, cutting whatever aid that is going to people. And for me, that's a drop in the bucket compared to our enormous defense budget, or, you know, or whatever. What is it? 6% of your taxes actually go to welfare programs and food stamps and whatnot. So I just feel like if you're going to say that that tax rate that Bernie wants to put into play isn't going to be enough to make a difference, then you have to also have the same stance that, well, cutting this program isn't going to make that big of a deal anyway. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying, but I mean, the government has to be cut. You know, you have to cut somewhere. In my opinion, you cut everywhere. Everything across the board. You just shave off 10% or whatever from every single part of the government. You know, whether it be the military or whatever. In my opinion, you should. We don't need to be in 150 countries around the world. We don't need to have military personnel that are in, you know, in most countries on Earth. So I'm fine with the idea of cutting the military in that respect. I'm fine with closing bases. I'm fine with not having military personnel stationed in other countries on military bases. If you want to cut like that, fine. Cutting the defense budget when it comes to you know, when it comes to either our Navy or comes to the Air Force, I'm not so cool with that. I'm okay with the idea of cutting the Army, and I know a lot of people that'll hear this and want to skin me for it. But the modern field of combat that you know we have to plan for, it's not big nations versus big nations. It's not tanks rolling across Europe, though. Putin does honestly make that a little more realistic of an idea than it was, say, 10, 15 years ago. But as long as we can project force with, you know, our Navy and our Air Force, I think we're good. And then we get back to all the other stuff that the government spends money on. And yes, we should be cutting back on our social programs. We should be cutting back on basically every cabinet level agency, you know, should get some kind of cut, because, you know, we just don't have the money. The money just doesn't exist. We can't keep printing money the way that we are. You know, you see the volatility in the stock market when the Fed talks about, you know, they were talking about raising rates this month by 0.25%, and the stock market went ballistic. You know, because China had.
Well, I mean, the Chinese market had a part to play in that, and whatever else. But I do agree. There's a crash coming. And
has to be cuts. You know, and people that argue against cuts, they always make the emotional argument of, oh, well, this person will be hurt and that person will be hurt, and et cetera. And whereas I think that they're right. You know, there is going to be pain when you make cuts. You can't do anything. You can't prevent it. You know, you can't live the way that we've been living on, you know, borrowing the money that we've been borrowing. You can't do it forever, you know? So, and taxing the rich isn't enough. There isn't going to be enough to handle the issues that we got here.
Yeah. And I mean, cuts can be made, things can be done better, but like especially when you're talking about social programs, and people will refer to fraud. Oh, you know, whatever. I see this person at the mobiles getting whatever with their food stamp card. And if you want, in my mind, if you want to stop doing that, then we need to staff these offices better. Make sure these social workers aren't working with, you know, way too many people than what they can handle, and actually have honest reviews of the people coming in. But no, we cut that funding too. So everything gets cut off at the knees, and everybody gets a quarter of what we really need. And then we're fucked all the way around. You were breaking up.
Breaking up? You're not breaking up.
Okay, you're better now.
Okay. Either way, well then look, the point that we kind of agree on is that everything has to be cut. No? You there?
Yeah, I can see you, but you're breaking up.
We agree that everything has to be cut, right?
Yes, totally.
So then why did you just bring up that we should expand social
Because
programs?
here's the thing, like, let's
consistency,
make sure
consistency.
We don't want to cut off people that really fucking need it. That's the problem, right? I think everybody agrees that we want to make sure grandma can get a fucking meal.
Well, yes, we absolutely don't want to cut off. In my opinion, when it comes to Social Security, I think that the different programs should be looked at differently. Like, you shouldn't have people on disability that are on Social Security, which is what they are on. So people that are disabled, then they shouldn't be on the Social Security system. Social Security is for old people that already paid in. If you're on disability, then you're getting a handout from the government because you can't work, you need help. That's what it is. It's not the same thing as Social Security, which old people earn by paying in. Now, granted, they're living way longer and taking way more out of Social Security than they ever put in, because they're, Social Security, they were like, when they set up Social Security, it was supposed to be like, surprise, I made it an extra 5 years past 65, which is when I was expected to die. Now, old people are 90, have been taking Social Security for 30 years, and have taken more money out of the system than they ever put in. So that's something that needs to be addressed, at least talked about. You know what I mean? Now, when you're talking about people that are on disability, people that can't work, that should be separate from Social Security, because of the fact, like I said, Social Security people paid into. That's a bargain that the government made with people, whether or not you like it. It's a system set in place by the government. That was a deal. Hey, if you pay into this, we'll take care of you after this age. The people that are already on Social Security, nothing should change. But I do like the idea of changing it for young people. If you're 20, you don't want to be on Social Security when you're older, or if you're 25 or 30, because 20 years old, you got like a stupid hall pass. It's like you're a grown-up adult. You know what I mean? You get to do the stuff. You get to do the stuff that adults do, but you're not really expected to be any smarter than someone who's 15.
You have like 10 years to fuck up, and no one will blame.
Exactly. Well, I was in my 20s. It's like you're 35 and you do something, you better expect some reprimanding. If you're in your 20s, people just go, he's a dumb kid.
Yep.
But
all right. So anyway, I don't even know how we got here, but we did.
Talking about funding.
Oh, which that's the big. I'm shocked that you're okay with Social Security and even disability with your libertarian stance. I thought you would be like.
I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. I understand that my ideology is extremely. It would take a long time to get to where I was happy with the government. You know what I mean? Because the government's made all kinds of commitments, and I don't think the government should go back on its commitments. I think that, I think that the government should live up to its promises. I don't think the government should be promising all the shit that it does. I don't think Social Security is cool. You should be allowed to keep your money and invest it if you want. If you put your money in the stock market, it would have done way better over the course of time. 40 years ago, if you put, $5,000 in the stock market, you'd have way more money now than you'll ever do with Social Security. A way better return. I'm not okay with social programs. I don't think there should be any social programs. The government shouldn't be giving out money because someone lost their job. I don't think that's the business of the government. I think if we didn't have the social programs, we wouldn't have these issues. There would be no issue with immigration. We could just be like, come into America if you want, but there's no social programs for you to come and, jump in and latch onto. It's just come to America. You're free. You can start a business, whatever. We wouldn't need to be worrying about Canadian border walls if we didn't have social programs. But I'm not okay with it. I'm just looking at the reality that we live in. I'm looking at the situation as it is, and not trying to be like, everything would be better if blah, blah, blah. Well, I think so, but I also understand the fact that, I live in the real world where all these things that are the antithesis of what I want currently do exist. So it's more of trying to find a realistic solution than being like, oh, they're great and I love them.
No, and I totally get it, because I feel like that vision of everybody's able to take care of themselves, whatever, or take care of their neighbor, community, helping out each other. This whole idea of we shouldn't need the government. It's a great theory. It's fucking awesome. It'd be great if we can really make that happen. But like we are so far away from there right now.
Some places are, some places aren't. And I'm not talking about, I mean, like some parts of America are, and some parts of America aren't. You know?
Sure.
The more urban areas, they're definitely. I'm reaching in again. The more urban areas are definitely more, you know, cities and stuff are more dependent on government and government services. If you live in the woods, you live in urban areas, you tend to be more insulated because you have to be. There's not, like, I mean, I have a well because there's no, you know, there's no municipality that's going to run water. You know, I have a septic system in there and stuff because, you know, it's not an option. So I think that people could be more self-sufficient if they wanted to be. I think that it's mostly a choice that they don't want to be.
I don't know about that. Because, like, you know, as much as I would love to get off the grid, it's just not possible. It kind of requires money and prepping and whatever else, right?
Have you ever tried?
Have I ever tried?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a piece of land I'm looking at, but I ain't got $675,000 for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing.
How big is this piece of land that you're talking about? I got 40 acres and it was $250,000.
It's big. There's outbuildings and there's some shit going on there. No, but not everybody can't run off to the woods and completely be independent of government systems. It just doesn't. It's not plausible.
Not everyone can. I understand that there are. I mean, that's part of the reason why I have a realistic perspective on things like Social Security and social programs. Even though I would love to see them ended and destroyed because I think they are overall detrimental to our country over the long term. I understand that, you know, it's not as easy as, but I think that there's a lot of people that could handle themselves. And I think that probably most people could handle themselves.
Okay.
But when it's as easy as going down to the clerk's office and signing up, you know.
Well, and that's a learned behavior, you know. I mean, I remember I grew up on a farm, and you're taught real quick there that you wake up early, you get your shit done, and you have a sense of pride about what you did. And that's something to feel good about. But if I wasn't taught that, I wouldn't know that. You know, and that ended up transferring over into, obviously, you know, my shitty radio career and whatever else.
Shitty radio career.
It's not bad.
I don't imagine that it would be that bad. I mean, I imagine that aside from getting up early, because you do the mornings, aside from getting up early, your job is basically a dick off job. And don't think that I'm judging. I mean, I'm the singer of the band. I mean, that is totally like, I'm going to do something because I don't want to actually work. Okay, that's exactly
I'm ruined. There's no way I can work at a normal job anymore. There's no way.
I tell you what, I'm personally, I'm glad that, you know, we were able to survive the dying off of metal bands from New England that happened. Because going back to a job, you know, I know guys that used to be in big bands. I'm not going to say any names, but used to be in pretty big bands that have power washed houses post big band time. So I'm happy that I married up and my wife makes a bunch of money and we do.
Married up? What are you, a Kardashian?
No. I married someone who's incredibly smart, incredibly driven, really good looking. And sometimes I regret it because I'm so lazy. And I'm like, God, when will this woman stop pushing me? Like, all I want to do is sit here and play Clash of Clans, and you want me to go hammer stuff in, build things.
Drive the lawnmower.
The lawnmower is the greatest thing in the world. I'm serious. I'm going to send you a picture. Huh.
I'm already kind of jealous of the lawnmower. We have a push mower.
Oh, mine's the brilliant zero turn one where you just spin around and it's great. So all right, so then can we talk about Hillary Clinton?
Absolutely.
All right,
Go
so
ahead.
you give me your vibe on this.
Oh, I hate her. I've hated them.
Well, that was simple.
I've always hated them. I mean, he was there. We call them the Uzi Clintons. That's the nickname we have for him. Which, if you want to start a punk rock band, the Uzi Clintons would be the name. But they're just so, everything they're involved in is so shady and so fucking slimy. And she's not a fucking liberal. Stop labeling her that. She's so corporate, so Wall Street. Oh, I hate her.
They're all corporate. They're all Wall Street. I'll give Bernie Sanders that he's not, but every single bit of his rhetoric and stuff is awful, and he hates freedom. So I could never.
I actually heard him say that live in Madison with 11,000 people. He led with "I hate freedom," and everybody clapped.
I bet he did. He doesn't like minorities either. He's attacking minorities.
Yeah, he actually beat up a few black kids on his way out of the venue. It was unbelievable.
Well, he's looking to steal 90% of rich people's money, and that's a minority because they're not the people. There are way less rich people than there are poor people.
Oh.
So it doesn't matter if they're, and this is something I love to do. I appreciate that you did that. It's okay to go after one minority, but it's not okay to go after another minority. Rich people are a minority. Rich people are a minority. Yep.
Are you calling like the 1/2 of 1% needs the fucking hashtag to help them out with their freedom? Like
no. I'm not saying that they need help. I'm saying that they shouldn't be singled out and attacked. They don't need help. They have plenty of money.
They should be.
Really?
Nobody's attacking them. Let's not attack them. But Jesus,
taking 90% of the money that they make is not attacking them. 90%. That's 10% away from slavery. If you go from,
they're gonna be fine. It's not like we're taking all their shit and throwing them into poverty, which might actually be the best idea. So they fucking have a little bit of an idea of what's going on.
That is so incredibly populist monster. That is a populist, monstrous perspective. It's okay to attack them because they're rich. That's literally what you're saying. These are Stalin-esque, Hitler-esque, Mussolini-esque ideas. The people that have should be taken from because they have. Look at you. You're making these jokes, but you're totally disregarding the actual fact in what I'm saying.
Dude, pay your fucking taxes. That isn't me getting rid of your family or gassing you in a fucking chamber. It's not me hanging you in the fucking main street. Pay your goddamn taxes.
We're talking about different things here because you're saying pay your taxes, and then you're talking about 90% tax rate. Those are two different things. They do pay their taxes, and 90% confiscatory tax. The top 10% of the country pays 80% of the taxes.
I don't want the top 10%. It's like seriously, top half of the top 1%. Grab their shit. Take fucking 90% of their money. I mean, this is a society, right? This is what we need to do. And they're going to be fine.
It's definitely, I tell you what, if you start stealing 90% of people's money, you'll watch how fucking fast society breaks down.
Oh, it's like 100 people out of all of us. Take their fucking shit. That's what
it's like 100 people. It will not have an effect on any government programs. It will not produce enough money to make an impact on the deficit, the debt, or anything else, but take their money just because they've been successful. That is a vile perspective.
Not just because they've been successful. And like I said, I bet you it's going to pay for a WIC program that people are trying to cut. I bet you it's going to, something. It's going to pay for something. Like this idea, they're money hoarders.
And freedom.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Go back to that.
It is monstrous. It is the idea that it's okay for the government to steal from you 90% of what you earn.
But you say you like it's actually us. It's not. It's this small group of fucking weirdos.
It doesn't matter who it is. It's someone. It's a person. It's a human being.
They're barely people.
See, this is my problem. You're saying that that it's okay to steal from them. It's okay to take their money because they've been successful.
But, the people, all right, here, there's two aspects to that. The money we're taking now from these people, they almost certainly didn't fucking earn. So it's not like these are people that fucking worked their asses off. It's
who are you to make that judgment?
Dude, it's the top half of the top 1%. These people have had money forever. But, you know here's the thing. It's not going to happen. It's not going to fucking happen.
Jobs and Bill Gates did not have money forever. They were broke as fuck. And then they came up with a great idea.
And they're already willing to give all their money up. Like, that's the other thing. They're ready to give their fucking money away.
So if it's such a good idea, why do we need the government and guns to force people? If there's already people that are doing it, and it's such a great thing for society, then why? Then first of all, why do we still have poverty after 40 fucking or 50 years of the war on poverty? Obviously, that's not working. And second of all, why, if it's so great for America, aren't more billionaires doing it? And if there's billionaires doing it, and again, like I said, if there's billionaires already doing it, why do we have to involve the government and taxes and violence and force and threats of force?
Right. I don't like the idea of shooting people to get their fucking taxes. That isn't, I'm a non-violent person without a doubt. So I'll never advocate.
You cannot tell me that you're non-violent and still endorse a government that is as big and powerful as the government that you would need to implement the programs that you want to implement. Look at you.
Dude, here's the thing, though, and I understand what you're saying, and I think it'd be great if everybody that had that much money was willing to give it up and help out, with the poverty problem. But having the problem of the poor like we do, I think is a multifaceted problem, and has to do with we don't have manufacturing here anymore is a huge part of it. It used to be you could fucking go to high school, graduate, get a fucking job at a factory, and you were there for 20 years, and you got a paycheck.
That is China's fault, and that is India's fault. That is Asia's fault, because they're emerging markets.
It's our fault for moving the fucking jobs over there. NAFTA, CAFTA, SHAFTA.
Why did those jobs go over there?
Because it's cheap labor.
Yes. So, why is it cheap labor?
Because they don't have any rights.
No, because it is they're emerging markets. We had our industrial revolution 150 or so, began 150, 175, whatever, 25 years ago. I'm not sure exactly when it started technically. We already had that, right? And we had all these machines building things, and we had a huge upswell in success and in the U.S., and it brought a lot of people out of poverty, and it created the middle class that everyone is always saying is destroyed and blah blah blah. It created the middle class in the U.S. China and India and a lot of the countries in Southeast Asia, they didn't have the same kind of renaissance we did here in the States. Now you've got the technological revolution, and that's allowing people in Southeast Asia and China and Southeast Asia and in Asia to get jobs and become part of the middle class. But before Ford started making cars outside of the US and in these places that's cheaper, their options were either like collect garbage and try to sell it or die. Now they can go and work for $1 a day. Now that's a whole lot better than trying to sell dirt. So that's why we have the jobs going overseas, because these people are coming out of abject poverty, coming out of the very dirt poorest poor. Not poor like in America, because most Americans that are poor have a cell phone. All right, so
an Obama phone, get it right.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. There you go. I mean, most poor Americans have cable TV. Most poor Americans have, they're working poor or whatever. They have a house. They have, either a car or they have transit, but they're still poor Americans because you're looking at compared to other Americans. When you say poor in Indonesia, when you say poor in the Philippines, it's not poor like America. It's poor like you're everybody's picking up cans. Everyone's fighting over cans to pick up. You know what I mean? So the reason that jobs get shipped overseas is because when a company can offer someone that has literally nothing $2 a day to do something, they're clamoring to do it. And that's just the way it goes, you know?
Then they're throwing themselves out of the windows of the Apple iPhone factory.
Hey, look, the suicide rate in China and the suicide rate in Japan are extremely high because those societies suck. Not really. The Japanese society doesn't suck. The Japanese are really cool, but they're so focused on honor. And I mean, the bullet train has killed more people in Japan than, I think anything else. Just jump in front of it.
88% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
Really?
And I think
I don't know the statistics about people jumping in front of the bullet train, but I know that there's a lot of people that jump in front of the bullet train. That's how they off themselves generally, because they can't get guns.
You're right, and they hate freedom.
Well, the Japanese, the Japanese have had a pretty cool past 70 years, but they were getting a little uppity about freedom 75 years ago or so.
Oh shit.
True.
Right. Well, and I was going to bring that up too. I mean, we're running out of time here. We're running a little long, but when the middle class did explode here, it was war. The wars really helped with us having a middle class, and that's the reality of it.
That is called the broken window fallacy, and if you'd like, I will explain it.
Please, Phil, enlighten me.
All right, so homeboy has a shop, right? And he's got a window. Now, some dude, some kid, some knucklehead. Actually, no. Let's make this a nice story. There's a bunch of kids out in the street playing stickball, right?
I love kids.
So hits the ball, breaks the dude's window, right? So what you're saying by saying war was an economic stimulus is similar to saying, oh, well, that's good that his window was broken. That's an economic boon to society because he can hire someone to fix the glass, and that produces economic, movement. It produces, it produces an economy. But what you don't see and what you don't think about, and whenever people talk about war being a boom, because this argument's been made a bunch of times, what they don't think about is what the guy would have done with the money that he did use to fix the window. Because if the window is broken, he's out one window and one dude is got work, right? But in the scenario where the window never gets broken, he's got a window and maybe he's got a sweater. So so that means that someone else had to produce that sweater that he bought, or whatever it may be. So destroying things is not a benefit to a society. It is not gainful to society. It's never gainful. And if it was, then we could just blow up our cities, pick a city every 6 months or whatever and just blow it up and then rebuild, empty it out, blow it up, rebuild it, and that would produce positive economic results. But it wouldn't.
But I mean, first of all, I hate sweaters. Secondly, short term though, it definitely it put people to work that didn't have work, and all it's the industrial war machine, and military industrial complex.
It's like digging holes so that someone can fill them up. You can take seriously what you're talking about. So we've covered take money from rich people, and then pay people to dig holes and someone else to fill them back up. These are the arguments you're making here.
No. I'm not, dude. It's just a fact that we did have a boom and there was an increase in industry after the wars. And that's exactly how it went down. And it might not have been all of it. And it might not have been beneficial in the long run, but that's how it went down. People made money from that. People still make money from war. You can't argue that.
People do make money from war. But make money from specifically building the instruments of war. But the U.S. had the big economic boom after World War II because World War II destroyed fucking Europe. There was no competition.
Exactly. Are we arguing the same thing?
So then we shouldn't build a wall on the Canadian border. What we should do is nuke every Canadian city. Nuke every Mexican city, so that way those places can compete.
Dude,
right?
Ask Donald Trump, man. He beat China, and he'll beat him again. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable indeed. No, you can't. Listen. You cannot have a confiscatory tax policy. You cannot blow your way up, explode your way into economic prosperity. It just doesn't work.
Well, I mean, we need something sustainable here. We need, and I know people bring up because Bernie wants everyone to go to college and get a degree, but how many people are working?
I don't want anyone to go to college anymore. I'm so against college. I think that people should go to trade school. North Dakota is in dire need of welders.
And cops and strippers.
Yeah, probably. But the thing is, like, people go to college and then they go and they like fucking take, women's studies or basket weaving, and it doesn't prepare them for a real job. They're like, look, I've got this degree in fucking some bullshit thing, and then they get out of school and they're in debt $100,000 and they can't find a fucking job because they decided to fucking study women's studies. Really, is that going to be? Yeah, you're gonna get a real good job because you fucking took women's studies. What they did was extended their childhood and enjoyed some partying.
Okay.
College is a scam.
But here's so the other part of that is, so okay, with Bernie's whole plan to put people to school, and I agree with you, trade schools I would prefer that we invest more money in that for sure. But then still,
you're gonna go to school to learn how to do something?
Right. Absolutely. Build shit, motherfucker. But where do they go if we don't have the manufacturing here? If we don't have, and I feel like there's a shift, definitely. There's websites where you can get all the made in USA stuff. And I think people are a lot more, and I know in Madison, in Wisconsin, where we've always been focused on that stuff. So sometimes I think I'm a little jaded as far as, or I don't have the right perspective as far as what people are really doing. But here consumers are really concerned about where their shit's coming from. Who am I giving money to? And there's a huge there's a huge emphasis on buying local. We know the farmers we get our shit from. We know the dude that built our table. And if we could get that attitude expanded, I feel like it would, it's not going to take care of itself, but it would help a shit ton. But it's a lot harder to go out. When I was making a lot less money, for me to go shop at the local fucking joint, it's going to cost me almost twice as much than for me to go to the big box store. And I understand that money saves the community.
That's why I get so pissed off when people complain about Walmart. If you are complaining about Walmart, you're complaining about the company that makes life massively easier for all the fucking poor people in America.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, if you're poor, Walmart's your fucking savior. So why are people bitching about Walmart? Walmart has done way more positive for America than it ever could possibly do negative by not paying people what someone else arbitrarily thinks they should be paid without knowing how the business is. It's weird,
though, that you hire people and then show them the food stamp line right away. I think that is bizarre. And but at the same, whatever. Fuck, I have to shop at Walmart every now and then. We try to do as much as we can not there, but there's some shit you can't get anywhere but Walmart. And it's a necessary evil, I feel like, and it provides employment for people that would probably have a hard time finding employment in other places. So I'm with you.
I just hate when people get worked up about big businesses or large corporations, and they love to say how bad Walmart is, and it's like, Walmart is like the best thing that's happened to poor people in fucking 50 years. It's way better than any government fucking program. Works better.
Well, but I will say though, I remember when I was littler and going to Walmart with my mom, and it was made in the USA. It was a big thing there. It's a lot of made in America products. And that's definitely coming back, because last time we were there were school supplies that were only available at Walmart, by the way. So we went there to finish off our list. And I was surprised at all the options that were made in America. And I feel like, though, that's the consumer. You vote with your fucking dollar, dude.
You do. You absolutely do. And I think that there's too many people are looking for the government to say this has to be fixed right now and done, as opposed to allowing, kind of society to decide that,
Well, and I mean, getting the word out, and it's
sure. Yeah, it's never been easier to get the word out nowadays. I mean, the most difficult thing about getting the word out is getting Facebook to actually put the post that you put up in all of your friends' feeds, as opposed to only 10% of them.
You gotta pay for that boost, motherfucker.
You do got to pay for that boost. All
right, we should probably call it a day. We've been on for a long time.
Okay. Oh, an hour, huh?
Yeah.
I think an hour is probably good, though. I mean, like doing a half hour, I mean, we can just barely yell at each other.
I'm so sorry. I will allow more time, okay?
You're such a fucking Nazi.
All right, I'll see you next time.
You're probably a fucking feminist, too, aren't you? Jesus Christ.
No.
Yes.
It's too blanketed for me. I feel
I
like
love
all these movements it's just a broad brush you're painting. And we're not. Why?
Because of fucking stupid women's studies and intersectionality. You see the Huffington Post telling fucking white feminists that they have to shut up. They're not allowed to have an opinion the other day.
Wait, dude, are you kidding me? Some of those fucking articles, and then it'll be like a white chick saying like, oh, you can't say this if you're white. You can't say, and I'm all like, oh, you can't tell me what to do. Shit.
You know what it is? It's the fucking left stacking on top of each other, tearing each other apart. Who's the bigger victim? Who's more oppressed? Oh, God.
I'm not about to rip on women's studies, though, because those chicks are pretty easy to bang when they're in the UW walking down here. So.
Well, I thought that, like, if you go into women's study, you have to, like, at least taste a vagina once. Like, if you're a female, you have to at least have, like, one gay experience,
Right. Exactly.
You know that we've got around where I grew up was where Smith is, right near Smith College. You know what Smith College is?
Yeah.
We used to call them slugs. Smith lesbians until graduation.
That's horrible. But I love it.
As soon as they go home, they're like, "Oh no, I'm straight. I pay no mind to all the boxes I ate when I was at college." Don't pay no mind to that.
Small details, dude. Doesn't matter.
Details.
All right, awesome.
Am I gonna judge someone for wanting to eat a pussy? I mean, I love eating pussies.
There is no judgment, man. It's my first water after my 2 beers. I should say, Sierra Nevada Hop Hunter is the best shit ever.
Yeah? I'm going to go get some Grey Goose vodka.
What do you mix it with?
My mouth. I drink it.
Wow. I am not hardcore enough.
All
right. Well, we should do this again soon.
Please, can we? It's fun.
Agreed. Absolutely. Let me know when, dude.
All right. We'll see you, D. Bye, everybody.
Bye.